heck are all of you doing out there? Well, it's been a little bit, and it's been an amazing week here. I know I have been absent for a few days again, but I was seething over losing my Patreon page because of some hypocritical, frauditard, fucktard crybaby who claims to believe in the First Amendment and transparency, but they only believe in it when it comes to them, not when you talk about them. I actually really shouldn't be surprised at all, considering we're talking about criminals here. So as you can see, someone complained on me, and I received this email from Patreon letting me know they had shut my channel down, and they are returning everyone's donations because I had never spent any of the donation money yet. Now, I don't know who that crybaby is, but I do want to let him or her know that they should be ashamed of themselves, and that this is why I do what I do, because not one of the frauditards out there have any integrity at all. So, if you were a donator on the Patreon page, you should have received your money back by now. If you haven't, get a hold of Patreon and ask them why you haven't received your money back yet. So anyways, it took 9 days, but at 8 o'clock this evening, I received the court documents that I was looking for on that last case that I found on I Am Free Inland Auditing Media, who, it turns out, is not Steve at all, but Robert Anthony Humanahominaha Jr. of Gig Harbor, Washington. So with the help of a subscriber, who I'll admit did most of the work, but he doesn't want to be identified, this subscriber found a newspaper article on a guy being trespassed from a school, as you can see right here. And we'll read a little bit of this to you so that you can have an idea of what's going on. And the title here is WWPS explains safety concerns led to trespassing a man with a camera. And there is the only picture I can find on Inland Auditing Media. But the article goes on to say, from Walla Walla Public Schools, that on Friday, March 1st, a man entered the district's transportation department building. He was wearing a black gator covering his full face, black sunglasses, and a baseball cap. You know, the typical frauditor garb that they wear to hide their identity. He was also wearing a GoPro-type camera on his chest and a 35mm camera on a strap around his neck. Transportation department staff greeted the visitor professionally and asked how they could help serve him. He began asking questions about the transportation operations related to safety. Now it goes on and on and on, but the good part comes down here where the police called in. And the Walla Walla police later confirmed to the district officials that the visitor who claimed to be named Steve was in fact Robert Anthony Humanahominaha of Spokane, Washington. And he actually isn't from Spokane, he's from Gig Harbor, Washington. So on Monday, March 18th, Humanahominaha released a video of the incident, which he posted on his YouTube channel. Humanahominaha has made dozens of similar videos across Washington state schools, post office branches, and other government municipalities. And then the subscriber found that the video was still on I Am Free Inland Auditing Press's channel. So, I guess it didn't do him any good to register his channel as a corporation in another state that allows you to do it anonymously, or register it under the fake name Stephen McStevenson. So now that he's been identified, and I have the last case information from Tacoma, let's talk about the vile and disgusting past of Inland Auditing Media, Mr. Robert. So here are the only four criminal cases that I could find on Inland Auditing Media. Mr. Robert, not Mr. Steve. And all 4 of them, sickeningly, have been dismissed. But the first 3 are the interesting, very interesting part. He's got 3 domestic violence cases out of Spokane, Washington. Back on December 9th, 1998, he was arrested for domestic violence, for assault, 4th degree, which was a misdemeanor, out of Spokane, Washington, and that case got dismissed. On May 9th of 2000, he's charged with domestic violence assault again, also a misdemeanor, out of Spokane, Washington, and that charge was dismissed. And we go ahead to June 26, 2000, just 6 weeks later, he's charged with domestic violence malicious mischief out of Spokane, Washington. I believe that was a misdemeanor also, and that charge was dismissed. Now we jump ahead 23 years to July 10th, 2023. This is the case I've been waiting so long for from Tacoma to find out, and it was freaking dismissed. Anyways, he was charged with displaying a weapon, a misdemeanor, out of Tacoma, Washington, and that charge was also dismissed. Now we're going to go ahead here to his, he's got a couple civil cases there. In May 11th, 2000, Robert sued Amanda for a divorce out of Spokane, Washington. It was a dissolution of marriage with children. A temporary restraining order was issued, and he requested to proceed in forma pauperis, which means he was poor, he was broke, and that case ended up being dismissed on February 26, 2001 for non-appearance. But they did get divorced at some time. I just don't know where, because Amanda has remarried. And I reached out to her to see if I could get any behind the scenes information on Robert. And I never heard back from her, and I've been waiting 3 weeks on that anyways. And then we're going to go ahead to April 25th, 2007. I am not 100% sure this is him. There was a order, stalking or other protection order issued against a person with the same name from Anchorage, Alaska, and he did live in Anchorage, Alaska at the time, but there is no age or date of birth given in the case on the Robert that did this, so I can't 100% say it is him, but I wanted to throw it in there in case it is, because it really goes along with all those other charges he had of the domestic violences. Anyways, this ended up being dismissed because the petitioner ended up not showing up in court. And we got our header up here. This is I Am Free Inland Auditing Media. His name is Robert Anthony Himnahomnaha Jr. He was born in May of 1976, and I've got an address for him there in Gig Harbor, Washington. Got a phone number up there that I've got to block all that out so that I don't get privacy struck by this crybaby. He also had addresses in Spokane, as you saw, because there was charges there. Anchorage, Alaska, and Hinesville, Georgia, which I found very interesting. I don't know why he picked to go down to the deep south, but he did. I could not find any charges in Georgia for him, though, so it must be he behaved down there. Anyways, we got a couple of email addresses for him. I did find some past employers at the Fan Foundation and something called Spokane in Spokane, Washington, whatever that is. He also worked for a company called Swartz Property Management in Spokane Valley, Washington, and a company called Nerdna LLC out of Olympia, Washington. Aliases that he has used, I've heard him call himself Shelton on a video. He also claims to be Steven or Steve a lot. And if you look up his business, he has registered that under the lawyer's name, Stephen McStevenson, which is interesting. And I have also heard him refer to himself as Stephen Gandalf. Isn't that like a famous actor or something, I believe? I could be wrong on that, but I'm not sure. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is all I could find on Mr. McDonald. Now, it's very frustrating to see that every single one of his charges have been dismissed. The problem with domestic charges, which I've witnessed for many years, is the victim stops cooperating, and a lot of the times there's nothing that the prosecutors can do but dismiss the charges. It's very unfortunate, that's for sure, but it is all part of the game. The problem with it is that now Robert has 4 charges that have been dismissed. He's emboldened to step his game up. You can kind of tell from his videos, but he doesn't believe anything's going to happen to him when he gets caught. You can tell in his videos. So that's why he's such a jackass when he goes out and videotapes. Y'all know that for sure. But now that people know who he is, maybe he will settle down a little bit, because people can now publicly redress his dumb ass. So, my FOP, the Fraternal Order of Police magazine, came, and it shows that on as of March 31st of this year, 84 law enforcement officers have been shot in the line of duty. That is crazy amount of numbers in the first 3 months. That's like 1 a day. And the Officer Down Memorial page right here is telling us that 20 law enforcement officers have been killed in the line of duty so far in 2025. And the bluehelp.org page is telling us that 30 law enforcement officers have taken their own lives so far this year. Both of those numbers, actually all 3 of those numbers, are very tragic to me. And, as I always ask you guys, please continue to back the blue and support your local law enforcement out there. And next up is going to be the premier hypocritical frauditard crybaby there is, lately anyways. And I'm going to do another video on auditing Mabton. I have a bone to pick with that special douchebag, and I'm going to expose him for being a huge crybaby, a huge liar, and a huge hypocrite. You aren't going to want to miss this video, trust me. So until then, y'all take care out there now.